I'm Matt from vHub. And if you're in the heavy duty trucking industry, you want to do more freight, more service, and more trucks. Whatever you're doing, you have to know where to park. And if we're talking about parking, there is no one better than my very special guest, Anthony Petitte. Anthony is the founder and CEO of TruckPark Incorporated, an inventory management and booking platform that connects truck drivers with safe and available parking along their route. But before that, let's check this out. Welcome back. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Now, Anthony, tell me about how you got into truck parking.
Yeah, it really all started with my late uncle. He was a Teamster driver. He also had a parking facility in Chicago. For those that are listening, if you're familiar with the Dan Ryan in the south end of Chicago, we had a location in 87th Street, and it was set up for truck parking. My uncle, however, really didn't have a good head on his shoulders in terms of technology and getting drivers to his facility. He can build the location, he can build the real estate, but he needed to fill the real estate. So with that, he actually asked me, who at the time honestly didn't have any idea about trucking, transportation, other than the stories that he told throughout, the years or at family dinner parties. Even with that being said, I was in digital marketing. I actually had 6 years in digital marketing, SEO, helping companies build out web pages, helping companies, rank better on Google and Bing. And so I actually helped him build a website. So once we built a website, kind of flash forward maybe a couple of months, we actually started getting some traction, right? So by traction, we were actually getting truck drivers, carriers, and brokers even interested into actually interested in parking, interested into actually making the reservation on behalf of their drivers, or sending out an independent owner operator driver to park themselves. And so that's how TruckPark really began. We started pretty nitty gritty with a website, calling up some local fleets, and from there we made the magic happen.
That's incredible. What I love about that is you're second generation in this industry. Myself, my dad was an old roadway guy from back in the 1970s. So I think what happens is, like, once you get in this transportation space, like you don't get to leave. Has that been your experience for the most part?
Absolutely. I mean, we've been in this business now for about 4.5 years, and just seems like we're just going to continue growing, continue building, continue doing so many things in this industry itself, and in whatever way that comes up, any shape or form. Whether we take additional capital or whatever direction we decide to go, we're still going to remain in this industry. We're so excited to be in it. We love the drivers, we love the brokers, carriers, shippers. I mean, honestly, everybody in this industry is like one big family, right? And just to kind of give like a little bump in the road or whatnot, I wanted to kind of explain that I'm Italian. So being 100% Italian, I grew up in family. Like every Sunday, we would go to my grandmother's house. We called her Nana. So my Nana would literally have Sunday dinner. We'd be eating pasta, and they'd be bringing out the wine, and we would be doing this whole celebration every single Sunday. So what I see in this industry, and for everybody that's listening and paying attention to this podcast, we're all one big family. So I'm really excited to be in this industry. And so thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. And what I love about this is it is a community. Ultimately, everything that happens that comes onto the shelves or to your house, it came on a truck. And those truck drivers have to find some place to park. So the question I have for you, what are the problems that TruckPark is trying to solve for the industry?
That's a great question, Matt. So in this industry, for any driver who's definitely listening, you probably know, depending on how long you've been driving, that parking has been an issue for about 30 years. I mean, it's a 3 decades worth of data and information that the government and drivers and fleets have trying to put together and just kind of make sense of what's going on. Why is this still literally a top 3 issue for 3 decades? It's just so. What we've been looking at since the start of all of this is day one, is you just heard me with my uncle, is okay, why is this an issue? Why is this issue still happening for 3 decades, and how can we solve it? So the ways that we're solving it is really by talking to drivers. It seems so simple, right? So it's like, how many drivers have we talked since we started our company? I would say 5,000, 6,000. I mean,
Wow.
we literally sit down one-on-one with drivers, or in the beginning, myself and my partner we would go out into oases. We would, get dirty and get our feet on the ground to actually talk to people and understand what's actually going on. And then we would take all that information. And as I talk about on social media, the big data, we take all the information together and we just really try to figure out what could we do to make the driver's life a little bit easier.
What I love about that is the driver starts their day and they end their day with an element of parking and finding a safe place to go. And so today we're talking about making new yards and parking lots within vHub. And that gets me thinking about managing parking at scale. So how important is parking to over the road trucking?
I mean, it's very important. It's number 3 on the list, just under detention and hours of service. So it's definitely the best and the hardest and the most difficult type of situation that the drivers go through. So you can ask any driver, whether they're company or they're for hire, over the road or long, over the road or short haul, they're all going to say the same thing. Parking is our issue. We can't find a place to park. It's hard because of course you have hours of service, and I'm not one to say I'm against the hours of service by any means, but because of the hour of service, because you're restricted in those amount of time, if you are going to pick up or drop off a load at a warehouse, a shipper, wherever you are, you might not have enough time to go find parking. So that's where the driver becomes, a little anxious and says, okay, well, I have to shut down my truck in 13 minutes. Where do I go? Do I park outside of the shipper? Well, that's not a good idea because unfortunately, and by I guess it's a really big emotional case. The Jason Rivenberg case really happened outside the shipper. Okay, so I don't want to do that. I want to go find a secure parking location. But where are they? Where is a secure parking location? So that's where TruckPark came in and said, okay, we're going to provide the visibility on where the secure truck parking locations are.
I love the idea of supply chain visibility. Supply chain visibility at the end of the day is to take silos of data, break them apart, and then make the data visible so you can make actionable decisions on it. So ultimately, it seems that TruckPark is finding a way to aggregate the capacity of different trucking park locations so that a driver can, at the touch of a button, find secure, safe parking as close as possible. Is that really the main goal within your application?
Absolutely. It's all about safety. It's all about making sure that drivers are going to be close to those truck parking facilities, meaning when they utilize our application, they can open it up in any location wherever they're picking up or dropping off a load. It's going to take their geographic location. So let's say they are in Kansas City. It's going to show them locations that we personally have, truck park branded locations. It's going to populate nearest them. It's going to go, okay, well, you're in Kansas City. Let's say in Columbia, Missouri, just an hour and a half away, we got a very secure location. It's going to recommend that to them. If we have a location in Kansas City, it's also going to populate based in the city. They're going to see different locations. The drivers have full visibility and transparency, meaning they can see details such as amenities. They can see security features. They can see if the road is gravel or asphalt. We get very nitty gritty, and so the drivers have the full visibility into where they're going to go park.
That's outstanding. Now I'm getting word I need to cut to our sponsor, so just give me 1 minute, and I got to go through my copy. So just give me a second here.
Sure.
This is one of our repeat sponsors, so I'm really excited about this one. Today's program is brought to you by vHub for Kids, the first of its kind peer-to-peer platform for commercial assets for preteens. All across the country, preteens are looking for commercial assets to rent and share. They don't have time to call every single asset owner or dealership in the yellow pages. They use vHub for Kids. Now, when my kids need to rent a 48-foot dry van with decking and a liftgate, I'll be ready. vHub for Kids, a product no one asked for, designed for a consumer unable to understand the risk. Now, Anthony, let me ask you this. Do you ever get pressure from your users of having a truck parking application for preteens?
Um, that's a really good question. I'm really actually not on the operations side, so it's a hard question for me to answer necessarily. I think that it would be an educational opportunity for preteens to learn about truck parking and
I
ahead of
like
getting a
that
job, right?
idea.
So, I mean, if you're going to be looking to get into the space, you're going to be looking to be a driver. You probably want to have that education. Okay, now that I'm a driver, or in the next 2 years, if I'm 16 and to 18, or maybe it's 21 now, but however that works is once they actually get in the driver's seat, they're going to be educational on what types of technology they can use.
I love that you took my terrible idea and actually made a business case for educating people to get into this industry. I'll give you props for that. Now, obviously, you have a ton of knowledge when it comes to parking, but I saw that you recently expanded your offering to industrial real estate. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so because we get so many inquiries per week, per month about opportunities. When I say opportunities, to get a little bit more granular so the viewers can understand, there's actual individuals or even companies out there that want to get in the space. They just don't know anything about truck parking. And so we had came up with a division, if you want to call it that, to focus on helping those people who have capital, right? So they might be, ex restaurateurs, or they could be ex realtors, or they're always people of the real estate space, but they don't know anything about truck parking. They don't know to get a fence. They don't know who to call for gate codes. They don't know who to call for the lighting and the asphalt grinding to even get in the facility. So we handle all of that. We work with multiple vendors so that we can bring in those conversations. We also work with the operator or the soon to be operator and kind of give them information, light data such as, this is if you have 8 to 9 acres, you're going to have about 250 stalls, and your 250 stalls are going to generate, X amount of dollars per month. And we kind of get really deep into OPEX and CapEx, and we kind of put that all together so that these operators or soon to be operators can have a chance at, running their own operation.
I love that you're building capacity for your network. And by giving people the tools to enter a type of business that we know has a massive demand for. I mean, obviously, consumer buying habits are not changing anytime soon. We need more parking. So that makes total sense. Now, there's a partnership that you have with Fuel Me. How has Fuel Me accelerated your business, and what do they do?
Yeah, so Fumi is almost like the DoorDash for diesel, right? Um, or if you want to call an Uber model, for example, if a driver is going to a Pilot Flying J, right, or a Love's or Tate Petro, I'm not segregating any of those top three facilities. But if you are a driver, you will know this. You go into, let's say, one of those top three truck parking facilities at night, probably between 4 o'clock and midnight, and you're going to be in a long fuel line.
Yeah.
Okay, so not only you're in a long fuel line, you're looking at your hour of service. You got about, again, 13 minutes on the clock. You're freaking out. It's like, okay, I'm just trying to get my fuel and then go park the same lot. So this shouldn't be that hard. The problem is there's too many variables. The transportation industry is very fragmented. So
Absolutely.
what could happen is a driver could decide to take their 30-minute DOT break on that fuel island while their truck is getting pumped. They walk in the store, and all of a sudden they're mesmerized by the candy bars and the energy drinks, and all of a sudden they forget that the truck's outside and they're holding up this long line of truckers. So what Fuel Me came into the business to do really is to say, okay, well, you don't have to wait in those lines anymore. Wherever you are, whether you're at a TruckPark branded location, you're at a shipper, you're at a warehouse, you're at a rest stop area, we will dispatch a truck and wet hose that truck, whether you're in the truck or out of the truck. So you can be in the truck in the cab sleeping, you can be in the truck watching them, you can be out of the truck doing whatever you want to do, and they're going to come by and wet hose the truck, and then they're going to leave, and you're going to have a full tank of gas.
The thing about mobile fueling is the same kind of premise, I think, behind mobile maintenance. The idea of bringing the thing you want to where you're at. And so we've seen this with like the Amazon effect of anything I want delivered. And that seems what Fuel Me is trying to help solve with TruckPark, is bringing that fueling variable directly to the driver, ultimately driving efficiencies, making it an easier experience, and ultimately avoiding those long lines. So that makes complete sense. Now, let me ask you this. Let's say I have a fleet and I wanted to learn more about TruckPark. Where should I go?
Yeah, you can go right to our website. So we have multiple products for fleets. We started this business for the independent, the owner operator, truthfully, but we have, of course, as any other business, expanded into helping fleets for carriers and now brokers. So brokers are starting to get interested in paying for their carriers so that they can reach preferred status. That's their way of saying, oh, I'm going to be competitive against my competition. Now, for the carriers, to answer your question, they can simply go on our website. We have a carrier application or platform rather, because it's web-based, and it's called TruckPark Reserve. And so they can click on our link. I believe it's a hyperlink on our website. It's going to take them to another web page, which is the actual software itself, and they can fill out for free. They could fill out their company information. They can, whether it's for their safety manager, their driver manager, their dispatcher, the company itself, they can fill all the information. They can put all their drivers in. They can easily do that by just exporting a CSV file. And so they'll have all their information, all the drivers. They can do this also to help them reduce a lot of that chronic turnover. So you have your drivers almost like in a managed space or a centralized dashboard. And then you can actually look, we have a full map with all of our locations. I believe we're at about 1,000 locations now, or close to that number. So that's about 75,000 overall spaces. And you can pick from whatever space is near your pickup or your drop off location, and you can book reservations on behalf of your driver.
That's incredible. Anthony, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. If people would like to learn more about you and the work that you're doing, where can they find you?
Yeah. How do they find us? Is that your question?
No, for you, like, do you have like a LinkedIn page, a social media? How can someone get a hold of you if they're looking to learn more about what you're up to?
Well, if they want to learn a little bit about me or about TruckPark, first, TruckPark has a lot of social media pages. So we have LinkedIn, we have Facebook, Twitter. I believe we have Instagram as well. If they,
I can't thank you enough for making time to talk with us. I mean, ultimately, we have to have a value proposition for our customers, but also for our drivers. And I think that having the ability to have nationwide scalable parking that is safe and secure is a value that's going to help companies retain their drivers and have a better overall goal of getting more drivers in this business. So I can't thank you enough for the work you guys are doing. Now, at vHub, we are solving problems every day to make sharing assets easier. Whether you rent, lease, or own, see how vHub can help you streamline your business. Download our app or find out more at vhubapp.com. As always, thank you for tuning in, and it's been an absolute pleasure, Anthony. Thank you so much, man.
thank you, man.